Knock, knock. Who's there? R who?
Grab a chair, mess you with, and it's a down. It's my podcast. This guy's insane. Rock your brain. It's just a sound. It's the Viera Vault.
Schmack-a-magob, it's another Viera Vault, and I have, one of the, I think the most loved co-host I have now on my show, Mr. Will Carroll, Death Angel. How you doing, Will?
I'm doing great, man. Glad to be here.
Welcome back. Everybody loves when me and you yap about discographies.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's in our blood.
And we're talking about the Thunder from Down Under, AC/DC. This time we're just going to talk about the 70s AC/DC.
All right.
With the late, great Bon Scott and, of course, the late, great Malcolm. And but there is some AC/DC, not an album, but there are some singles before Bon joined. You've heard those, right? I'm sure you have.
Yeah. I'm not that familiar with him, but I've definitely heard him. Totally.
Can I Sit Next to You, Girl? And, Man, I think Rockin' in the Park. Maybe I'm wrong. Well, forget. Let's just say, let's talk about fucking AC/DC with Bon.
Totally.
And we're going to go through, like, I'm not going to talk. We're going to talk about Australian versions, early versions of High Voltage. Their first album was released in February 17th, 1975, called High Voltage. And this, I do have this on CD with the dog pissing on the little power thing.
I have it on vinyl.
Oh, cool. That's very cool. What do you think of this album?
I prefer the American release. For a couple of reasons, because that's the first one I heard, and just the order of songs are kind of ingrained in me now. So it's kind of weird to hear the Australian version of it. And I think the choice of songs on the American version is better, and it's a little heavier sounding. But I do love it. I love both versions. I think it's a fantastic debut. And it's funny, like a lot of bands, with their debut, you could see that they're a young band and they're still trying to find their feet. And
right.
And with AC/DC, they already knew what they were from the day one. I mean, it sounds just like any other later album with Bon Scott. I think. I mean, there wasn't. And I mean this in the best possible way. There wasn't too much maturity from that album to Highway to Hell. A little bit, but I like how they stayed the course for all 5 albums. It's pretty. You know what you're going to get. It's totally solid. So I love the first album. It's pretty much like all the other albums. Great.
Yeah, I'm looking over the track listing, and man, one of my favorite AC/DC songs that I never heard till they released the Jailbreak EP is "You Ain't Got a Hold on Me."
Oh yeah, man.
That song, I'm the easy rolling kind. Bon Scott to me was the greatest lyricist. People say, "Oh yeah, he's a shithouse poet," and I'm like, dude, that's degrading to even mention the word shit when you talk about this guy's lyrics. He was a genius. He really was.
Yeah, he takes like topics that are so run of the mill in hard rock, like sex and drinking, but he puts a spin on them that make them hilarious and they make you think, and they're witty, and it's total poetry, I think, and he can take any topic and make it sound cool,
Exactly, and there's not shithouse poet my ass, Fuck that shit, man. You don't call Bon Scott a shithouse poet. I mean, this guy's a genius.
I've never actually been face to face with someone who put down Bon Scott or said that he sucked in any kind of way. So I've never heard anyone say that about him. So I'd be really shocked if someone said that.
No, even the people that say he's a shithouse poet, they're not really disrespecting him.
Right.
They're kind, these same people that say shithouse poet would consider him one of the greatest lyricists. But I'm like, can you come up with a better term than that?
Yeah.
How about Genius? That's it. The Great Scott. You know, I mean, the guy. I mean, and the song "Show Business" too. It's kind of like a pre. Because I mean, you know this more than I. Because I, you know, I mean, me and being in a band, and I toured the world one time, and you know, I've done shows sporadic. Nothing compared to what you do. But even the little amount of touring I've done, the song "Show Business," you know, it's kind of like it's a long way to the top. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, absolutely.
It's not easy. You know,
And you know, even though the lyrics kind of paint a dire picture of the music business, like even when I hear them, it makes me want to be a part of it regardless. You know, like I want to rough it out, and I want to go
yeah.
through all the trials and tribulations of tour as a part of being on tour, the ups and the downs, and you know, it's all a good learning experience, and it's fun in the end. So I do love those lyrics totally.
Are you like one of those musicians? Because I see a lot of musicians say the same thing. Like, man, the best part of the tour is just being on stage. The rest of the day sucks. Do you feel that way?
No, I mean sometimes like
Right.
if you're like if you're like week number 6 into a 12-week U.S. tour, you know, it's just like there's no end in sight. You're just kind of like in
Right.
limbo. Sometimes, you know, like yeah, like you're just waiting to get on stage, but for the most part, no, I have a lot of fun with my bandmates and my crew, and I do things during the day to occupy my mind and is to have fun. I go sightseeing. I'll go to a museum. I'll do whatever I can to like wherever I am. There's always something to do. You know, if you look it up, you'll find something cool in that area, no matter where it is. So if I'm not hungover and sleeping all day, I'm out. I'm out doing something fun. But yeah, for the most part, I embrace touring, like all of it. You know, the day, the night, everything, and try to have as much fun as possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are some days.
I've noticed that myself because I've never done not even a 12-week tour. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know nothing about what you've been through at all. But when I do, you know, travel, every time I see the promoter or the guy that picks us up or the guy, I always say, "Is there a record store around here?" Because that's my
Totally,
favorite
dude.
thing. That's my favorite thing to do. Go.
Totally. I look for record stores and like toy stores and comic shops. Like those three things. Like I'm a horrible collector. I not only records, but I collect comics and you know it's all kinds of kid shit. So yeah, whenever I come into town, I'll look up online and see what the closest comic shop or record store. But always records for sure. Like that's the first thing I'll check out. Sometimes we'll play next door to a record store, and that's really bad.
Yeah, you know, Churchill's where we opened for you has a record store next to it. I don't know
Yep.
if you Sweat
Yep.
Records, and they're pretty damn good too. You know,
Totally, man.
they're
I
pricey, but they're good.
yeah, like when it's that situation, I'll end up going to the store like 3 times in the day. You know, it's like really bad.
Yeah, I found their recently original press of Power and Pain by Whiplash.
Wow.
I was like, "Ooh, this is nice."
How much
20
is that?
bucks.
$12.
20, 20.
Oh, $20. Well, that's still good too.
It's still really good. I was like, "Oh, this guy doesn't know what's up with this." You
Totally,
know,
man.
it's some guy that just came in. It was used, but it's in perfect condition. Perfect condition.
I,
And
I would rather take a used copy of that than the reissue. You know, like that's cool that you got a used copy of it.
yeah, yeah. I'm not even, was it reissued? I'm not sure if it was.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But man, what an incredible album that is. But yeah, I got to say, I was never a big fan of a love song off this album, though.
Oh yeah.
It's so un-AC/DC.
I can see why it didn't make it to the U.S. pressing. You know.
Right.
Is it Soul Stripper on the original?
Yes.
Yeah.
Starts on side 2. I love that one.
Yeah, that song rips. I have an AC/DC cover band with Zetro from Exodus. It's
Right.
called
Yeah.
ACDZ. But we just, well, not just, but our last gig, we had a lot of gigs planned throughout this whole COVID thing. But we had just started playing Soul Stripper. We just added it to our set, and that's a super fun song to play. And I love the bass line. That's
Mm-hmm.
one difference with this album and maybe the next album, like earlier AC/DC, the bass lines are a little bit more involved and a little more prominent, and that's cool. I love the bass, and I like to hear the bass doing something. So that's one element that they kind of lost over the years. But yeah, like the bass line on that song and the album, throughout the album, the bass lines are great.
Nice. Soul Stripper to me kind of sounds like part one of Squealer.
Yep.
Squealer's kind of has the same vibe. It's pretty long, and the bass is prominent in the beginning. But yeah, this has "Baby Please Don't Go." That's what it starts with. She's Got Balls, Little Lover, Stick Around, which is a song I never heard till I got this Australian box set.
Me too.
Yeah. Of course, You Ain't Got a Hold of Me, and Love Song and Show Business. But yeah, it's a damn fine album,
And do you know the name of the drummer that plays on this? Because Phil Rudd plays.
Wait a second, I did not know this. Let me see.
Phil Rudd plays drums on like maybe 2 songs.
Wow, and I'm looking at the credits. I don't see Phil Rudd at all. I see a guy called Peter Clark, Tony Carenti.
Yep.
Yeah, Peter Clark's track 4 and track 1 and 2 to 8 is so Peter Clark or Clack played on the first track, and the rest of the songs are by. Dude, I never knew this.
Crazy, huh? I mean, Phil Rudd plays exactly like that guy, or vice versa, however you want to say it. But you can't even tell the difference when they switch drummers.
Yeah, unbelievable.
I mean, like when I hear those songs, it sounds like Phil Rudd playing.
Yeah. I till this fucking minute, I always thought this was Phil Rudd on this album.
Yeah, and on the American version. I think Phil Rudd does play on 1 or 2 songs, like maybe the Jack or something.
He is credited on it. I mean, it's his picture in the back.
Yeah, so he does he did do some recording during that point in time, and I think on the American version he does appear on a couple of songs.
Well, color me befuddled because I didn't know this shit.
There you go.
Unbelievable. Now I go to the next one, and this one I do have on vinyl, which I bought in Los Angeles in 1985. TNT.
All right.
Vinyl. And before we get into this one, what I always ask, and I forgot to ask you this, how did you discover AC/DC? Do you remember?
Through my sister. She went to go see him on the Back in Black. On the Highway to Hell tour.
Nice.
And she came home with the shirt and. She was all into it, just talking about it, and that's the first time I heard the name. So it's 1979, so I was only like 5 or 6. But she got Highway to Hell shortly thereafter, and I was hooked ever since. So the first 2 albums I heard were Highway to Hell, and then Let There Be Rock. When I heard Let There Be Rock, that completely changed my life because, I mean, that album was so fucking heavy, man. It's borderline a thrash album, man.
Yeah. We were little kids. That album was called Heavy Metal.
Yep.
A lot of people don't know this. All you whippersnappers. But back in the late 70s and early 80s, AC/DC was in magazines under heavy metal.
Absolutely.
And everything has changed since then. But man, to me, you can't get more raw than Let There Be Rock. But we'll get into that when we talk about it. But speaking of Let There Be Rock, talking about these 2 albums, I always tell you, and I tell everybody, I don't know shit about production. I can tell here. I can tell. I love the sound of it. I have no complaint, but I can tell the thinness compared to the 3 that come after that we're going to talk about.
Totally, yeah. Especially in the guitar tone. It's just... It doesn't, like you said, that's the right word to use. Thin, like it just doesn't have that full body that Let There Be Rock has. It's a noticeable jump in production value for sure, man, for sure.
Yeah, and this one has more tracks on the American version than they just threw in a couple on TNT, but this one starts with "It's a Long Way to the Top" if you want to rock and roll. Which, man, you cannot get more perfect in lyrics about what it says. It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll,
Absolutely. Then those lyrics, I mean, they ring true. I'm sure he was just, it's pretty much an autobiography of them living on the road, but everything he's talking about has happened to me at one point in my life. So
Yeah,
it definitely hits home. I love it, man. It's one of my favorite AC/DC songs, period. It's a great
big
way to
time.
open the album. And, I never rocked out to bagpipes before, but I love the bagpipes at the end, man. Like it would
It
be
adds so much.
yeah, it would be so naked without it. Like when you
Yeah.
hear the song live, it's definitely I'm missing the bagpipes when I hear it live.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I love that. I love the bagpipes. I love the video where they're in the back of the truck.
Totally.
What was it? Dokken did a video like that later on.
Yeah,
And,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
but I
yeah.
love it. I love how, they're up there and, they have no teeth. You know,
Yep.
they're all fucked up looking. I mean, dude, look, I'm a fan of the Rolling Stones. I'm not bashing the Rolling Stones. I really ain't. I am a fan. But AC/DC to me is the world's greatest rock and roll band.
I would
I
have to agree with you.
because look, man, no offense, but Rolling Stones were college students in London.
Yeah.
These guys were fucking. They had no teeth.
Yeah.
Well, Keith Richards didn't at one time too, but you know what I'm saying. But he was a college student. These guys, look, Bon Scott almost died in a motorcycle accident before he ever joined AC/DC. He was in two bands,
Yep.
Fraternity, and I think it was called the Valentines, which I have that on vinyl.
I've heard the Valentines, totally.
Yeah, and Fraternity was more hippy dippy, and he played the flute. And they had videos. They were on TV shows. So Bon Scott was like, didn't make it in these bands, but they made it far enough to get on TV.
Right.
So if anybody knows it's a long way to the top, it's Bon Scott.
Totally.
And yeah, long way. Rock and roll singer, man. I remember, because this was probably my first studio. I think this was my first album of AC. I'm not sure. I'm a little hazy on that. But man, I remember hearing Rock and Roll Singer when he says all the other shit. I was like, whoa, a bad word, man.
Dude, me too. I was just going to say, I can't remember if this is the one, but this might be the first time I heard someone say shit on a song as well. I remember, like, that was the no-no song. Like, don't play it when my mom's around,
And it's so cool. I want to be a rock and roll singer. I want to be a rock and roll star. And it's, Bon just wanted to, I mean, there's that story that Malcolm told that that box set they released called Bonfire.
Yep.
That Bon said to Malcolm one night, he goes, when we become big and famous, because he really did think AC/DC was going to be big one day. He goes, I want to do a solo album called Bonfire, And man, they were right there, man, at the cusp.
Yeah.
Before he died. I mean, AC/DC was already playing mid-size arena, Highway to Hell. It was the springboard, man. I mean, I'm sure Back in Black with Bon Scott would have been as huge.
Absolutely.
I'm totally confident about that. But then we have the Jack on here. Which is alternate. I mean, I was blown away when I heard the live version because it's so dirty.
Yeah.
But this one is so genius with a card game.
Yeah, I actually prefer the lyrics on the studio version. I think they're a little more clever. Whenever AC/DC plays the Jack, we do the live version from If You Want Blood. And every time I suggest doing the studio version with the other lyrics, I get shot down instantly. Like none of those guys like that version, the lyrics or anything. I'm like, whoa, that's a trip.
It would be more unique if you guys would do that because the AC/DC doesn't do it like the studio version. It would be more. I would agree with you. I mean, I don't know. I'm a little more for the live version, but as far as a tribute band, it'd be cooler to do the studio version, I think.
Yeah, just to throw them a curveball,
Exactly, or mix it up, just put that. She told me she was a virgin. Leave that in,
Yeah, And I love that song, and I know quite a few people who don't like that song. Like whenever they
Really?
play it live, like that's the song to go get beer or go to the
Wow.
bathroom. And not for me, man. I dig it still to this day.
To me, it's the ultimate sing-along song for AC/DC.
Yeah.
You know, when you see it live, you know, well, I never seen them with Bob, but, you know, Brian do it. And I just love going, she's got that jack. Fucking
Yeah.
awesome. I gotta tell you, man, this story's kind of long, but I'm going to abbreviate it. On the Blow Up Your Video, because this reminds me of seeing them do the Jack live.
I saw that tour.
Yeah, the Blow Up Your Video tour. Dude, me and my friend were driving to this show, and we got into a bad car accident. Luckily, we didn't get hurt, and we hit a lady that had a baby in the car. And luckily, they didn't get hurt. But his car was completely trashed. I'm sitting on the side of the road with my head in my head going, fuck, I'm going to miss AC/DC tonight. Really pissed. And then my friend ran up to me and goes, dude, I got you a ride to the show. I was like, dude, I ain't going to leave you here. He's like, you better fuck. I mean, he got violent with me. If you don't fucking go, I'll kick your ass. You know, I was like, all right. So I went to the show with this really strange guy I didn't know.
Uh-huh.
And when they were playing the Jack, he started rubbing my back.
Oh, dude.
Yep. And and then, you know, we made out. No, I'm just no, and then, you know, I was like, oh man, I was like, you know, I need a ride back home, you know. but at the same time, I was like, oh man, I'm gonna have to do something. But he stopped. He got the vibe, you know.
Maybe he took the name AC/DC too literally.
Yeah, maybe that's why he wanted to go to the show. He thought it was a show for people that, you know, were AC/DC.
Yeah.
So after the show, it was this place called the Sportatorium, which is the mecca of arenas down here at the time, and it was just a muddy parking lot, and his car got stuck in the mud.
Oh, great!
It took forever, and then his car overheated. And we ended up at a gas station, and just by luck, sheer luck, I bumped into this dude that I only met one time that's friends with one of my friends. He's like, hey, man, you're Ronnie's friend. I was like, dude, if you take me home, you know, I'll give you whatever fucking vinyl you want, because at the time I had a record store and I had a lot of records. It was very close to my house. And I left that guy. I was like, fuck this dude, man. I mean, I appreciate everything, but he was stuck. His car was fucked. Uh-huh. So that's my story of Blow Up Your Video. What a mission. I went to that show in 3 cars.
Who was opening that?
Oh,
that
man.
tour?
You know,
for me, it was I want to say it was Cinderella, but maybe not.
I think I could be wrong. It was like some obscure band called Dogs from L'Amour or some shit like that.
Dogs d'Amour?
I think so.
Oh, wow. I would have liked to have seen them. I like Dogs d'Amour. Oh,
I don't know. I don't think we saw them. Okay. If it wasn't them, then I did see Dogs more with some other band, or remember them opening for another band. Right. But I think it was that. I think it was them.
Trippy. I never knew they got to the arena level. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, opening, yeah.
For us, it was either, I think, it wasn't Docket, or it was White Lion. It was White Lion who opened up for us.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was in the parking lot for that.
Yeah, I can imagine. You know, I'll tell you a funny story, too. White Lion opening for Aerosmith, and we were in the parking lot, too. And then we see a bunch of people run toward the back, and I'm thinking, oh, shit, who's that, Steven Tyler or something? I run back there, and it was Mike Tramp, the singer. And, dude, this is a trip. He saw me, and he goes, hey, I'm best friends with him. And he pointed at my shirt. I was wearing a King Diamond shirt.
Oh, yeah, he's Danish, right?
Yeah, I guess so. He said him and King Diamond were best friends. I was like, no shit. And then he was back there with these little cards with the band's picture, signing it, giving it away to people. And I got one.
You still have it?
Yeah, I still have it. I still have it somewhere in my closet, but I kept it, yeah.
Are you a White Lion fan?
No, but I will say their first album was decent. It was called Fight to Survive.
Yeah, I've heard it. It's like it's the most metal thing they've done.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
yeah.
has Dave the Beast Spitz on bass on that one.
I always wonder what happened to him after Black Sabbath.
You know, I'm friends with him. He lives here.
Okay.
He's a lawyer now. But what a monster bass player. He has, well, I don't think he has them anymore, but he had a Black Sabbath tribute band called War Pigs. And
Okay.
my God, what a monster bass player. And I have him. He's on my phone. I don't call him or anything, but we're friendly. You know, and every time because he's really good friends with my friend David, that every time I bump into them, we end up like just hanging out all night with each other.
That's cool.
But yeah, he's a lawyer now. And he doesn't talk to his brother anymore, Dan Spitz.
Just like the rest of Anthrax.
Exactly. Yeah, there's some bad blood there, man. But yeah, and Dan lived down here for a while too.
Have you met him before, Dan Smith?
Yeah, yeah, he was very nice. I met him after the Kiss Farewell tour.
Okay.
Because after the Kiss Farewell tour, the Skid Row, who was opening, did a headline show at Culture Room, and I went. He was there, and
Okay.
yeah, I took a picture with him, and he was like, bitching about the show because he's like, oh man, I love Kiss, but man, Ace was fucking up a lot. It was a bad show. They had an off night that night.
Huh.
It was kind of depressing leaving that show. Like, wow, that's the last time I'm going to see Kiss, But yeah, I met him. He was nice. He's a nice guy. But anyway, back to AC/DC. The next track is Live Wire, which was a lot of times the opening track live.
Yeah.
Like Let There Be Rock, the movie.
Yeah.
I love this track. You like this one?
Absolutely, man. It's killer. The great build up.
Yeah.
And the lyrics are very boastful, and that's what you need a lead singer to be. Very, very in your face and very confident. And he's beaming with confidence in that song. So I love it.
Yeah. And then it flips over to the track that made me buy this album, TNT, because it was on the radio a lot. I never get sick of this one. I know that it's overplayed, but I'm sure you guys play this one, right?
Yeah, we do, to our chagrin, actually. The main guy, Zet's the main guy, but the guy who does Angus, Dave, he hates that. Well, he doesn't hate it. He's just totally tired of playing it. He's in like 3 or 4 different AC/DC tribute bands. He does Angus very well, so he's kind of made a career out of it. And he has to play it in every band every night, so he gets sick of playing it, and he's always trying to get it off the set, but by the end, we're always adding it. It's always the last song or second to last song. I like it, though. It's fun to play. I remember we had a bass player for a very short amount of time, and he was having trouble figuring this song out, and he got fired because of it. And I remember our Angus said, like, dude, you're having a hard time with TNT. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, that's pretty bizarre. Was he fine on the other songs?
Not really, but his inability really shined on fucking TNT for some reason.
Of all songs.
I could play that song on bass, man.
Yeah. Did your Angus do the oi oi?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you guys go all out. That's legit right there when you get your Angus to do the ois.
Yep.
Yeah, I love it as well. It inspired me to go buy this album. Next track, Rocker. Another one with great, and tattoos. The way Vaughn does that, it's just so funny to me,
Totally. That's a song that we also play, and I am constantly voting to play it how they play it on the studio version as opposed to If You Want Blood, but we always end up doing the If You Want Blood way because it's a little bit slower on If You Want Blood. It's like da 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 da.
Yeah,
more groovy. And I like how it's kind of like a rockabilly song on the studio version. So it's way faster, and I prefer the studio version actually.
Yeah, I do too. I gotta say, I do prefer the studio version of this. It's full speed ahead. It's probably the fastest song to this point of the AC/DC songs.
For the yeah, totally.
The next song, I was very disappointed to find out because I really thought for all these years, Bon Scott wrote the lyrics to "Can I Sit Next to You, Girl?" You know, because that line like intermission, I was like, that's so Bond, you know, it's so
Yeah,
cool. Then I saw that clip of the original Dave Evans doing this song, and I was like, what the fuck? Bond didn't write these lyrics? But it's a fun tune. I dig it.
totally. I mean, it's a bit of a throwaway track, you know. It's I still love it. I mean, there's even their filler tracks at this point are kick ass, you know. So
Yeah.
I dig it.
I love it. And then there's the title track, High Voltage, that, you know, it's another one of those sing along songs that I absolutely love as well. You like High Voltage, the title
Great,
track?
great live track, dude.
Yeah.
Like okay, that's a version that I prefer on the live album. Like just the way he goes, hi,
Yeah.
you know, he
It's
does that.
it sounds so snotty, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
It's so badass. Yeah, I love it.
So
Um,
here's a question. Here's a little trivia. Well, I'm going back to the American version of High Voltage with Angus on the cover with the guitar in his pants. Do you remember an episode of Cosby, a Cosby episode, where the daughters want to go to see some rock artist or pop artist? I forget the name of the artist. He has like some iconic name, and they're like, but Dad, we have all his albums. We totally love him. And he holds up one of his fictional artist albums, and it's High Voltage. And
no
he's holding
shit.
it up, and he goes, look at this guy. Like he's sticking his tongue out, and like he's making jokes about the album cover. Do you remember that?
No, I never saw that episode.
Yeah, you know, like I haven't thought about that until just now for some reason, but it does exist. I'm sure it's on YouTube.
Wow. Yeah, no, I'll look that one up. You know, I'm sure if you just type in Cosby, ACDC, it'll be there because YouTube rules.
Yep.
It's very easy to find. I'm not too crazy about the last track though. It's School Days from Chuck Berry.
Yeah, me neither.
I remember when I got the vinyl in California. I was like, oh man, I never heard this.
Yep.
School Days. This is a song I don't know. And I was like, you know, because I was familiar with the rest.
Totally. I can see why it didn't make it to the American version. Like, you know, it wasn't up to snuff with the rest of their material.
Right. And now I go to the next one, and I see there's two different covers. This is the High Voltage American version.
Right.
But then this one let me blow this up. Man, I don't think I've ever seen this. There's a different cover with it's kind of like a painting of Bond and Angus, and it's kind of like, I don't know, like Dayglow a little bit. You ever seen that version?
Oh yeah. Totally. It's like purple, kind of.
Yeah, Bond's purple, and then there's blue and yellow and green.
I've totally seen that in Europe. I've seen it for sale, and I've yet to get it. I don't own it, but it's usually pretty pricey.
Okay, well, it's the same track listing.
Yeah, right. It's a really ugly album cover.
Yeah, the only song on here that's not on the two previous one is Little Lover.
Great fucking song.
Love it.
Great lyrics. He mentions Gary Glitter.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know like that guy ended up being a real monster in real life, but
yeah.
I actually do like some Gary Glitter.
I don't know nothing about him except Rock and Roll. Is that the name of the song?
Rock and Roll Part 2, yeah.
Yeah, that's the only song I know from the guy. I don't know nothing else.
And guess what? You're never going to hear that song again.
Oh, yeah? They don't play it at sporting events no more?
Nope.
Yeah, well, that's what you get for being a pedo.
Yeah.
But, yeah, this album's very important to me. High Voltage, 1976. And we already talked about all the songs. It's a little combination of the two prior with Little Lover, which I wonder where Little Lover came from, you know? And as I look at the credits, Malcolm Young does lead guitar on Little Lover.
Yeah, I knew that. He does that. It sounds like Malcolm Young would be doing that solo.
Yeah.
It's cool solo, but yeah.
Did you ever see, I think it was in a high school, a black and white show of them playing in a high school? It was released on, man, I'm not sure because I have backtracks and some other one that brought DVDs. There's a live show of black and white of them in like a high school auditorium.
I've never seen that. Seen
that. There's footage of Malcolm doing a couple other solos too. during that show. Very early footage.
Huh.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I have like the deluxe edition of, I think it's Backtrack. That's actually an amplifier that works. Have you ever
Wow.
seen that? You ever seen
No.
that? Yeah,
No.
it's about, I'd say about like 2 feet, no, 3 feet tall. 3 feet tall, 3 feet wide. It says AC/DC on the front. There's a little plug you can put in, and it has a 9-volt battery inside, and you can actually, play. Actually, online, there's footage of Angus playing that, which I'm sure you can find on YouTube. But yeah, I believe
Great promotion. That's a great promotion for the product. The guy himself is playing it.
Yeah, I remember it cost me. It cost me a lot, but I'm sure it costs way more. I think I paid about $200 for it.
Wow.
It brings a big, thick, killer book with a lot of glossy pictures, like 4 CDs, 3 DVDs. It's really cool. It's a really cool thing to own. They release different versions of it, like little, like compact versions. I bought that deluxe fucker. But yeah, it has footage of, like, I guess this era. And it might be Little Lover they're playing when Malcolm was doing the solos.
Right.
But I think he did the solos in Baby Please Don't Go as well.
That sounds right. Totally sounds right.
But yeah, all right. So we pretty much ran through this one. The next one I didn't hear till the 80s, but it was released in 1976. Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. Now, yeah.
Go for it.
Well, I mean, again, this is an album which, the cover's awesome. The original Bon Scott one. The American version, man, dude, that's total Devo new wave. You ever notice that shit?
Yep.
It looks like a new wave band that cover. It's weird.
Even the logo is so not hard rock,
It's pink.
Yeah.
It's just pink, and it's just a weird. Though, for I guess maybe nostalgic reasons, I really dig that cover, even though it doesn't represent the music on it. It's pretty bizarre, but I dig the well, as I look at here, it says international cover designed by Hypnosis. That's the guy that did like Pink Floyd and a bunch of other Sabbath, yeah. Which was the Sabbath again? Was it Never Say Die, I think?
Let me think.
Or Technical.
Yeah, they did Never Say Die. I think they also did Sabotage. No?
No, I'm saying,
Oh, yeah. I think they did Sabotage, and I think they also did the gatefold for We Sold Our Soul for Rock and Roll.
Oh,
that's the picture of that woman. Oh,
that shit's eerie, man.
Totally, dude. Totally.
That was my first Black Sabbath album I bought with my own money.
Every girlfriend throughout my life I've shown that to, they always ask me to please close it. They're like, can you please close that?
She does look dead, though. It's so weird, I wonder if that is a corpse,
Dude, and it's 3-dimensional, too. Like, it just, yeah, it's very creepy.
Yeah. But, yeah, I dig. But, man, this album rules. This album was released in the U.S. after the success of Back in Black.
Yep.
This is when I heard all these songs, except for Problem Child, I already knew. What was that on? Was that on Let There Be Rock, I think? I'm pretty sure it was.
Yes,
yeah.
Let There Be Rock.
But this one has a different ending. Remember, it stops and then it goes back into the song and fades out.
And the weird thing is, correct me if I'm wrong, but so when you hear Problem Child on Dirty Deeds and then you hear it on Let There Be Rock, it sounds exactly the same to me, like the same mix, same recording, same performance. But on Dirty Deeds, when it kicks back in at the end, it's completely different production. And it just sounds like it was recorded in a different studio. It's totally, the sound quality drops when they kick back in. I'm not sure if they added that in from a different session or what, but there is a difference in sound quality from the song itself and then the little thing at the end. It's always tripped me out.
Yeah, that always threw me for a loop too because I was already used to Problem Child.
Right.
But yeah, I'm noticing the Australian version is pretty much the same. There's 2 tracks on here that aren't on our version, but man, the track listing's all mixed up that it really ruins it for me because You don't put "Ain't No Fun Waiting Around to Be a Millionaire" track 2. That shit's perfectly on side 2 for me.
Yeah, that song is meant to be a deep track.
Yeah.
It lends itself to that. Yeah, for a second track of an album, that really makes the album. It starts off, with a lot of power. And don't get me wrong, I love "Waiting Around."
Oh,
I love that song. But
fucking
yeah, it's
love it
not a good
myself.
follow up to the opening track. Not at all.
I think it has the greatest Bon Scott line ever.
Get your fucking jumbo jet off my
No,
airport.
no, that's awesome too. I mean, what I meant is best lyrics ever,
Oh
and it's
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
clever how he does this. He says, "I got patches on my old blue jeans. Well, they used to be new when they used to be blue, when they used to be clean.
Yep.
Come on, ain't no
Yep.
shit house about that, you know."
Totally.
It's so genius, you know.
And that song's really unique. Like, it's just kind of a jam. It
Yeah.
doesn't really go anywhere musically, but in the best possible way. I love it. I'm not trying to sound like I'm putting the song down, but yeah, it really just kind of meanders along, and he's just telling the story, and he really carries that song totally, man. And I love it. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it is great. And but our version, and here's another weird thing. The American version has a song that isn't on the Australian version that's one of my favorites is track 2, Love at First Feel.
Yeah.
I love the fuck out of that song. And
Me
I'm
too.
like, why wasn't this released before? It's such a cool tune,
I I have a friend back in the 90s, back when people had answering machines. And whenever he got laid, like, he'd go out and go to a bar or go to a show or whatever. And if he hooked up, whenever he got laid, he would put "Love at First Feel" on his answering machine as his outgoing message. So that would be his cue to you that he's got a chick over, or he just got laid, or whatever.
They'd say, "Hey guys, just to let you know, if you guys ever call me and you hear Love at First Feel, I'm getting my dick wet."
Yeah.
Basically, he's saying.
It was a pretty good system.
Yeah, that's fucking awesome. I love it too. It's such a cool song. And then the ultimate double entendre tune, "Big Balls."
Oh yeah.
A song about exactly what it is. Like a gown, a ball, but listening to it, it still sounds fucking pornographic as fuck. Like
Go ahead.
No, just go ahead.
Oh, just hearing that song on the radio. Like, I used to hear it, back in the day, like in the 80s or whatever, when I was listening to radio as a kid. And I knew what it meant, and I couldn't believe that they were actually, it would slide, that they were allowing that song to be played on the radio. But a lot of people are stupid out there and just probably don't get it,
Yeah, exactly. It's weird, but it's hilarious, man. What is it, man? I wish I could remember those lyrics, because I know there's those little ways he would end the line that "my balls feel the best" or something like that. Now I can't remember. I'm having a brain fart.
Just the way he goes, "I'm just itching to tell you about them." Yeah.
Exactly. That's so fucking cool, man. It's so badass. That's why, to me, Bon Scott's the best. He's the best. When it comes to lyrics, I mean, nobody was as cool as him.
Totally, man.
And you can tell, I mean, just listening to that voice, his mannerisms, he lived it. That guy was rock and roll.
Oh, yeah.
To the core, I mean, unbelievable, but it is a great song. And I love how it goes into rocker.
Oh, yeah.
It's just, I can't listen to Big Balls without rocker coming in, blasting in right after that,
But on the Australian version, Big Balls, does Big Balls go right into rocker?
Let me see here.
I think it goes into something else.
It goes into a song I'm not crazy about either, Rock and Peace.
Yep. Yeah. It's just a slow song, like slow one riffer,
Yeah, it's kind of like a Chuck Berry-ish type thing. I wasn't really impressed with that one. Yeah, Big Ball. The Australian version doesn't even have rocker on it.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, the American version totally owns it. And of course it goes into Problem Child. Flip the album over, and I like that. It's a cool little fun tune. There's going to be some rocking. That's a cool song to listen when you're at a party getting drunk. Because I remember hearing this song playing in the background, hanging out with friends. I mean, it's not a great, like one of my favorite songs, but it's not a skippable song. I dig it. Do you like it?
Yeah, not really, man. Like I always consider that song a serious, like, just obligation, like filling up some space song. You know, like
Right.
they had to whip out one more track fulfill their contract. You know, because when you record a full length, there has to be a certain amount of length, a certain amount of time, so between an EP or a full length. And if you're agreed to do a full length, you have to have a certain amount of songs, a certain amount of time. And that song always sounded like it was a last minute ditch effort to add one more track. I mean, I don't hate it or anything like that, but I think it's not up to snuff with all the other songs on the album. Kind of a
I
filler.
no, it's definitely a filler. I really like the song, but if I was to make an AC/DC mix, I wouldn't add it.
Yeah, right.
But but I like it. I'm not going to say I don't like it. It's not, because there's I think only Rock and Peace and Love Songs are the only originals I probably don't like from the Bon Scott era. Because
Right.
I like pretty much everything else. But then it goes into, oh man, there's no better song to listen to when a girl chews your heart out and spits it in your face than Ride On. To me,
Mm-hmm.
it is
Totally,
the
man.
perfect, like, you kick back. You got, back when I used to drink, I would get drunk and listen to this, and I'd get over chicks because I'd be like, Bond knows what I'm going through. Bond been there, when a woman gets me down. It's so slow and mellow and beautiful. I think it's a beautifully constructed, bluesy, kick-ass tune, and you can hear Bond pouring his fucking heart out, and Angus too. I mean, that solo Angus does on that's pure emotion, man.
Yeah, that's the best part of the song. I think is the solo. I love it.
Yeah.
Another weird factoid about that song is that is only one of two songs where Phil Rudd uses a ride cymbal.
Oh, okay.
Think about it. He never plays the ride cymbal. He's always on the hi hats. But
Right.
on Ride On and the Jack, those two songs, and now we've discovered, I don't know, is it Phil Rudd playing drums on the Jack? I'm not sure, but whoever's playing drums on the Jack does a ride cymbal part on the chorus when they're singing the chorus. There's a ride cymbal back there, and same with Ride On. It goes into the ride cymbal during one of the choruses or verses, but it's weird. He always had one set up live, but if you watch all of Let There Be Rock, he doesn't hit that thing once, not even as a crash. It just sits there, as a prop.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I
Yeah, I
just
mean,
checked. Phil does play on the Jack.
okay, yeah. So yeah, those are the two songs he uses a ride cymbal. But I challenge anyone to find another song, AC/DC song, at least for Bon Scott era, where he uses a ride cymbal. That's a challenge. It's a challenge for all you Viera Vault listeners.
Yeah. Try to own Will. I dare you.
Hey, the first time I heard that song, Ride On, wasn't on this album. It was on the
Oh,
soundtrack for
who
that
made
Stevie.
who?
Who Made Who? Yeah, yeah. That's the
Yeah.
first time I heard it. That was the only Bon Scott album on that release. Bon Scott song on that release.
Oh, was
And
it?
yeah, did you ever trip off of Who Made Who? Did you ever listen to that album?
I have it. Yeah, I have it on CD, but man, I haven't put that on in ages.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
do own it, But yeah, I didn't notice the only Bon Scott song on there was that. Well, it wasn't Shoot the Thrill on there. It's kind of You Shook Me All Night Long. It's kind of a greatest hits.
Yeah, it has a lot of songs from Fly on the Wall because it came out right after Fly on the Wall.
Uh,
So they were still trying to hype that album. So Sink the Pink is on there, Shake Your Foundations.
those are the two
Um,
best songs for me on that album.
what's that?
Those are my
That's
two favorites. That and Playing with Girls. I'm not a big fan of that album, but I like those three songs.
I fucking love that album, dude.
The whole album?
No, I mean there are a couple of filler tracks, but
Right.
at least 6 of the songs are ripping on that album.
Yeah,
And
I only like three.
okay, I think it's the guitar production on that album is so loud, like it's maybe their loudest album. If like you can put it on your stereo, you got to turn it down almost. The guitar is so cranking. The thing that hurts that album the most is the vocal production. It's so drenched in reverb, you can't really understand what Brian Johnson's saying, and it's kind of back in the mix too. So that's a little weird, but I do like that album. I was a fan of that album.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was. That's the first time they kind of let me down because I loved everything up to Flick of the Switch.
Okay.
I do love Flick of the Switch. I love that one a lot, actually. I saw that tour with Fastway. You like Fastway?
Oh, are you kidding me, man? I mean, the first album is
That's the best.
one
That's
of the
the best.
greatest debuts ever, man.
Yep.
It's ripping, dude. The drums, the production. I think it's Eddie Kramer did that album, and
Yeah, he did.
dude, the drums just sound like, even for today's standards, they're just. I wish my drum sounded like that. Like, if you can hear the room and it sounds natural, like it's not drenched in effects, which is uncommon for an '80s album, and it's just amazing. It's a close. The only thing I can compare it to is like Zeppelin, like the drum tones. At least,
Yeah.
it's fucking awesome, man. I love that album. Great
That
singer too.
song, Heft. Wow.
Yep.
That's such a heavy fucking track. And yeah, we're getting off base. But I gotta bring up another thing about Fastway. Dude, only one time ever MTV showed a video for We Become One.
Oh, I've never seen that video.
I have it, and I put it on YouTube, and it was banned immediately.
Why?
I don't know. I was like, Fastway? Really? You guys have any pull? You know?
I mean, does the video have any provocative stuff in it, or
No.
Weird?
Yeah, it just it shows scantily clad chicks like silhouettes dancing, but it's a really cool video. There's a guy with a samurai sword about to kill Dave King, and a Doberman barking at the bass player. But I did upload it on Vimeo, so I'll send you a link.
Yeah,
I'd
love to see that.
Badass. It's
Do you
probably
like
my favorite song on there?
Do you like anything beyond the first album though, by Fastway?
Not as much, but dude, All Fired Up had its moments, and
A
Trick
couple
or
of good
Treat.
songs.
Yeah, Trick or Treat had its moment. You know what's sad is that, man, most people I encounter online, they just worship Trick or Treat and don't even give the first album a fucking chance.
That's insane.
It's weird, you know? It's like, dude, the first album is like, no, Trick or Treat. I was like, really, dude? I mean, it's not bad, but it's, the best thing about Trick or Treat for me is Heft from the first album. They threw it on there, But yeah, I mean, I liked After Midnight. It's okay, but it's just not as good as that first album. But yeah, I got to see Fastway on that tour. And I'll never forget the backdrop was the big, checkers with Fastway written on it.
Killer.
So, yeah, that was amazing. But anyway, all right, back to AC/DC. The last track we touched upon it a little bit. Squealer, which is a Soul Stripper Part 2. I feel.
Yeah, man.
You like this one?
Oh, I love it. I love playing it too. Unfortunately,
you guys do this too.
Oh, we do this a lot. Yeah.
Nice.
But unfortunately, whenever we play that song, and if Tom Hunting happens to be at the show, he comes up on stage and plays it. So I rarely get to play it.
That sucks.
That's Tom Hunting's favorite AC/DC song. So, he's my bro. I can't turn him down, So,
right.
Yeah, have at it, bro.
Yeah, he's an awesome drummer too, though, man.
Oh, yeah.
Shit he does on Bonded by Blood, historic.
Oh, yeah. Dude, especially that and his drum work on Fabulous Disaster, man.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's my favorite Tom Hunting album. Like, I love the drumming on that album so much, man. He was at the top of his game. He's still at the top of his game. He's ripping.
Oh yeah, no, he is amazing. I love God damn it, Tempo of the Damned.
What a comeback album!
Wow, that album threw me for a loop, and I saw the tour. It was awesome. Zetro's such a nice guy, man.
Totally, that album single-handedly jump-started the thrash metal scene, revitalized it. Like, that album came out at the right time. And, thrash hadn't really been much of anything for many years up until that point. And, first they had the Thrash of the Titans thing, the benefit for Chuck Billy. Mm-hmm. And that was the fucking springboard for Bay Area thrash, and just thrash in general was that show. And then shortly thereafter, Exodus put out Tempo of the Damned, and that really put thrash back on the map, man. That's a very important album.
Yeah, no, I love that fucking album. I cranked that shit a lot, man. I still do. That and the first one, those are my two favorites. But I like. What I recently discovered is an album I didn't really give that much of a chance. was Objection Overruled. I mean, not Objection Overruled. What was the name of that album?
Impact is Imminent?
Yeah, at the time, I was like, man, this album just sounds like let's be thrash for the sake of being thrash.
Uh-huh.
But now when I listen to it, because my ex guitar player was like, dude, listen to it. And when I listen to it, I mean, I'm still not really that blown away by it. But what really blows me away about that album, the riffs are fucking amazing. What Gary Holt came up and Rick came up for that album. It's really good riffs on that album.
It's their most technical album, I think.
Yeah.
And Gary told me that, like, the riffs, like you're talking about the riffs, he told me that the riffs were so involved that Rob McKillop couldn't hack it in the studio. So Gary does all the bass tracks on that album.
Oh, shit. No shit.
Yeah.
That's wild, man. All right. Well, I'm going to go back to the Australian version.
Okay.
And we already talked about Rock and Peace. The other track on here, Jailbreak, is what ends the album on Dirty Deeds. And that's that was like, man, how mind-blowing. I mean, if you remember this, how mind-blowing is when they released this EP and all of a sudden you saw a fucking video for Jailbreak.
Oh, yeah.
That
video's funny, dude. Like, I think Phil Rudd's girlfriend was the fucking director for that video because he's in it so much, dude. And it's funny because, like, being a drummer, I love seeing drummers in videos, and I like to watch drummers. But he's in it so much that it starts annoying me. Like, all right, man, enough of the fucking drummer, man. Let's see Bon Scott and Angus.
Yeah.
I mean, watch it, dude. Every other scene is a clip of Phil Rudd just playing along, man.
I gotta notice that now. There's a different video for that song.
It doesn't have the storyline with the.
No, it's just them in a room, and it's a music video for Jailbreak.
I never saw that.
Yeah, it's on that amplifier thing I was telling you about.
Okay.
There's a different version of It's a Long Way to the Top as well, even though it's still the same thing, them on the back of a flatbed truck.
Right.
But it's totally different. It's like different takes and not.
They all have teeth.
No, still toothless.
That'd be awesome if they're purposely blacking their teeth out. Some scenes.
Yeah. We gotta make it look legit. Nah, it was shot on the same day, but It's just a different footage. They just use alternative footage, which is odd. But yeah, there is another version of Jailbreak, which I was like, whoa, and they didn't have teeth then either, But yeah, all right. So let's go to that heavy duty next album, Let There Be Rock. Wow, this is more cohesive than everything so far, in my opinion. Heavy as all fuck.
Yeah.
Distorted. It's just in your face. I mean, me, the guy that's totally retarded when it comes to production, I can tell this shit has more meat on it. It's beefier, and it's just more. This is, to me, like it is the most raw AC/DC album, I think.
Definitely for the Bon Scott years, yeah, man. I mean, there's not a low point on this album at all.
No.
I mean, and I like how it's short too. It's just 4 songs per side.
Yeah.
And I like that. It's just concise and right. There's 4 songs on each side.
Yep. 8 tracks.
It just grabs you and never lets go. There's no clean guitar moment or no like bluesy breakdown part. It's just heavy and hard all the way through, and just I can't find a weak point about it whatsoever.
Nope. And as I see, the Australian version does add Crab City and Blue.
I have never heard that song.
Wow. That song is the Jack Part 2.
Okay.
But it's a song about getting crabs.
Right.
It's awesome. It's an awesome tune. You got to check it out.
Like musically, it's bluesy like the Jack.
It's pretty much the Jack Part 2. I mean, it doesn't sound exactly like the Jack, but you know what I'm talking about, like with Squealer and
Sure.
Soul Stripper. It's kind of that. It's in the same family. But I mean, it has like Bond talking about he has crabs. He's like, walk in, sideway, walk in, gives me the blues. It's fucking hilarious. Where the American version has Problem Child.
So Crab City in Blue replaces Problem Child on
yeah. Yeah,
okay.
where Problem Child starts side 1. Side 2 on Let There Be Rock, where the overdose side starts side 2 on the Australian version, and then comes Crab City in Blue.
Oh, that would make me feel weird hearing that version of the songs. I'm so used to Overdose where it is on the album, on the American version that would really throw me for a loop.
Yeah.
Hearing that song as the opening track on side 2.
Yeah, it doesn't sound. It's not a good opening track.
Right.
Problem Child is a perfect opening track.
Right.
Bad Boy Boogie would be a good one too, though. That closes side 1, but it's pretty much the same. The album track order is the same on both versions, except for Overdose and Crab City in Blue is the only difference. Because Hell Ain't a Bad Place to Be and Whole Lot of Rosie ended.
Right. And going back to Exodus again, have you heard their version of Overdose?
Yes, killer. On Fabulous Disaster.
It's great.
Bonus track, I think it was, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I love it. And I remember when I bought the CD, I was like, oh, fuck yeah. Because Overdose is not real. It's a deep track.
Totally.
I was like, oh, I love the fact they're doing Overdose. And it's a great fucking song. I overdosed on you. Again, the genius of Bon Scott, talking about, this chick's just fucked me up.
Totally.
But yeah, man, Go Down, great opening track.
Oh, dude, that song was such I wouldn't say underrated, but just kind of an ignored track, I've never heard, I don't know if I've ever heard a live version of that. But,
I don't think it has been played live, actually.
Yeah, that's a shame. That song is just so to the point, man, and a great opening track and cool swing. And, it's actually not the easiest song to play because it has that constant swing throughout, and you got to be going da, 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 on the hi-hat. So, you got to have your chops down to do that song properly. And really cool drum work by Phil Rudd.
Have you played this one?
Oh, yeah. Did we play it?
Man, you guys throw out the D tracks, man.
Well, see, we only do Bon Scott songs, so eventually gotta play them all.
Have you played everyone? I'm sure American versions.
There's actually quite a few songs from Highway to Hell we haven't played. Zetro doesn't like doing too many songs from that album because he feels like that's like it's just such a popular album. It'd be kind of selling out playing all those songs. Like we've never done Highway to Hell live. We've never played that song.
Oh, wow.
Which is kind of weird, I don't necessarily agree with that, but, I understand where he's coming from. He wants to keep it so underground AC/DC fans and underground stuff. I remember once we played a house party. Last year we played a house party in San Francisco, and the room was packed, man. It was rocking. We were having a great show, having a good time. And a friend of mine in the crowd said that there was 2 women in the audience that got really upset like halfway through our show and walked out, and they were like, I didn't that wasn't AC/DC. I didn't recognize a single one of those fucking songs. So see, those are the people we don't want to play for.
Exactly. Fuck them. Those aren't fans.
Totally.
They didn't play You Shook Me All Night Long.
Exactly.
Unbelievable. Yeah, those are the people that would say Brian Johnson's their best singer.
Yeah.
No offense, I love Brian Johnson, but come on.
Totally. But
yeah, go ahead.
Doggy Dog, Death Angel played that song at our Christmas show 2 years ago.
Nice.
And Lars from Rancid came out and jammed with us because he loves AC/DC. And his other band was opening that show. So he came out on stage and jammed with us, and that was really cool. He's a really, really cool guy, and I that's the first time I met him and got to know him. But yeah, he's a big AC/DC fan, and it was fun playing that track.
I love that solo. It's so simple and to the point. It's just so catchy.
Totally. Actually, I just remembered like how that all came about. Why we started playing Dog Eat Dog. We were on tour when Malcolm passed away,
Oh,
and that day, the day he passed away, we learned that song backstage and played it live at that show.
nice,
The place went
nice.
fucking nuts, dude. I can't remember where it was, but they went nuts. And I'm not quite sure why Rob picked that song of all the songs, but he picked that one. I was glad he picked that one because
Yeah.
it's not an obvious choice at all.
No, it's not. It's it has been played live, but it's not like, it's not a radio song.
Right.
You know, I love it. Dog Eat Dog again. It's an eye for an eye, tooth for tooth. It's just the way Bond delivers that as well. But the whole band. I mean, we haven't really discussed what I think is like the heart and soul of AC/DC is Malcolm Young,
Yep.
and to me, he is the greatest rhythm player ever. Just the way that guy plays that rhythm guitar, which is so organic and real. That's why I think this is the greatest fucking rock and roll band because it's just so real.
Yeah.
It's no preservatives.
Yep.
Just pure rock, but pure rock through a fucking Marshall. I mean, this is like, it's Chuck Berry, Little Richard, all that stuff, but blasting out, because that's who influenced these guys. I mean, Angus said, Little Richard's probably his biggest influence.
Yep.
And they just took that and, injected steroids into that music,
Yeah.
But
Go ahead.
no, go ahead. I was going to go into the next track, and I have a question for you about the next track, but go ahead.
I
What
was
were you
just
going
going
to
to
say?
say it's amazing how many metal bands are influenced by AC/DC and this album in particular. Even though AC/DC would never in a million years call themselves a metal band or
Yeah.
even acknowledge that so, but yeah, it's great.
But I mean, with the times and the decades that's passed, metal has evolved so much that you can understand how, all right, they're not a metal band, but I remember when they were.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
But the next track I gotta talk to you about. I'm sure you guys played the title track, right?
Oh yeah, fuck yeah.
All right. Here's a question I have for you because I used to do this college radio station with a bunch of death metal fans, younger guys, and Phil Rudd was always the brunt of a joke. Like if they were going to describe a shitty drummer, oh yeah, look, oh yeah, Phil Rudd, and I would always argue with them. I go, dude, go watch the Let There Be Rock movie and watch them play Let There Be Rock. Your arm would fucking fall off. Okay.
Okay, I am so fucking glad you brought that up because I was going to bring that up. The hi-hat is the most important part of that song. The hi-hat, the 16th notes, drive that song and make it fly. And so many AC/DC tribute bands, and there's quite a few in California. I'm sure there's quite a few everywhere. But there's a lot in the Bay Area, and there's like all girl ones, and all of them, dude. I swear, every single one I've seen, the drummer does halftime on the hi-hat when they play Let There Be Rock because it's kind of fast, doing 16th notes. It's like doing a thrash beat without hitting the snare as quickly as you would on a thrash song. So, but you're doing 16th notes. And that song's like 6 minutes long or whatever. Like it's kind of long.
Yeah.
So yeah, dude, exactly. My arm is on fire, dude. By the end of that song, I can't wait for it to end. But there's no way. There's no way I'm gonna puss out and fucking play halftime on the hi-hat. It just sounds like shit. That's why Onslaught's version of this song completely fucking sucks. Because the drummer's he's doing halftime on the hi-hat. It just sounds lazy. It doesn't propel the song at all. And that's what it needs, like just the hi-hat's so important. So yeah, I agree with you 100%. His performance on Let There Be Rock, they play it even faster than the album, and he's just going the whole time, man. So anyone who says Phil Rudd is a shitty drummer is just like
an idiot.
They're just uninformed and they don't know what they're talking about, man. They just don't know
I told them, I said, dude, your arm would fall off. You could be your Mike Portnoy and Neil Peart and all that, but seriously, I mean, what Phil Rudd does is just pure power.
It's brute force.
Yeah, and what did you say? You do the 6-minute version, right?
Yeah.
And you want your arms, oh God, I want to end this. Dude, Let There Be Rock is like what, 12 minutes?
Yeah, right.
of nonstop pounding. You
Right.
know, it's just and in the movie, I don't know if it was during that song, but there's some song they had to switch the snare because he broke it. You know.
Oh, that's right. It's been a while since I've watched that. I forgot all about that.
Yeah, they broke that shit. You know, there's a story that the original print of that movie was burned by accident out of a fire. So that's why for the longest time it wasn't released on Blu-ray, and they finally released it on Blu-ray. And obviously, it's not the original print, but it looks fantastic.
Huh.
Yeah, I guess they got the video and cleaned it up or something. But I got to bring this up. I saw that movie in the theater. They showed it at this theater where I lived, and just for like a week, dude. I spent 6 hours in that theater. This
Oh,
was before
you watched it multiple times, yeah.
3 times. I spent the whole Saturday afternoon there. I went in at 12 and left at like 6:30 or something like that.
That's
Because
awesome.
this was pre VCR, and I'm like the biggest Bond fan that I just sat there and let it soak in. So and it was loud. They even put amps in the theater. It was badass, man.
That's killer, man.
And I would hide. I would hide after the movie, and then like peek my head up when they would start the movie again. But yeah, it's just awesome. I love the little interview section. It's just a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, Let There Be Rock. And I'm glad because I'm not a drummer, and I've said this to multiple people before, but they weren't drummers either. So then I say it to you, and you exactly mirror what I was thinking.
You read my mind, man. I was waiting for you to finish what you were going to say. I was going to bring that up. I love the hi-hat of this song.
It's hard, man, to do. I mean, I guess because again, I'm not a drummer, but is the the hi-hat harder than hitting that snare like Phil does? Is that what you fucks up your arm, like tires your arm? The
Yeah,
hi-hat.
hitting things like hard doesn't tire me out. I can hit things as hard as I want, like for as long as I want. But yeah, it's the speed and like just the consistency of it. Like you're just going
Yeah.
for 6, 12, however long the version is. But it's going to be definitely more than 5 minutes. You're going to be going, and that really like you're for me, my shoulder starts burning, dude. Like it's a weird sensation, man.
Do you tell the band, hey man, after Let There Be Rock, let's do a song that's not so heavy on the arm?
Oh, dude, like sometimes that makes these set lists where the first 3 fucking songs are Riff Raff, Let There
Oh,
Be Rock, and,
oh,
and I think Whole Lot of Rosie. All three of those songs are. All
oh.
three of those songs are. Yeah, like you're killing me, dude.
Oh, that's too fucking brutal, man. Damn. Then the next song, Bad Boy Boogie. I got to bring this a real quick story. On my old podcast, we were goofing on Motley Crue one day, and we
There's
were
so much
talking.
to goof. There's so much
Yeah,
to goof about.
yeah, there's so much. And then my co-host goes, "Bad Boy Boogie." I mean, listen to that title. I mean, is that stupid enough? You already know it's gonna suck. I was like, excuse me, ACDC, dude. And he's like, oh yeah, that's right. It's like, dude, that song is bad. And the opening line is one of the greatest opening lines. When the day I was born, the rain fell down. There was
Yeah.
trouble brewing in my hometown.
Yeah.
It's just so fucking cool. And I forgot to bring up, oh my God, my favorite part of Problem Child is really quick when he goes, I'm a problem child. And then Bond goes, hey.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It sounds like a problem child. Hey. I forgot to bring that up. But yeah, Bad Boy Boogie is I mean, yeah, like we said earlier, there ain't a clunker on here, but god damn, that song is another awesome tune. This is what Angus uses to striptease on stage. There's like, studio version is 4:27. The live version is like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But it's, dude, a great way to close side one, man. You like Bad Boy Boogie?
I love it, but I was a little bit more interested in talking about your take on Motley Crue's Bad Boy Boogie.
That is bad.
Fuck that song.
That
Dude.
song's terrible, man.
I mean, I mean, not to get on a Motley Crue tangent here, but I was really disappointed with Theater of Pain because it just
Yeah.
didn't sound like the first two albums. But I didn't hate anything on it. But I think that was the first. Bad Boy Boogie was the first Motley Crue song I had heard that I literally just absolutely fucking hated. I was like, oh my god, this is fucking garbage, man.
Yeah.
And also because of the title, I was like, give me a break, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Why are you doing that? Why are you douching up this song? You know,
Totally.
the song title because they didn't cover this because they can't.
Right, right. So yeah, back to AC/DC. I just wanted to
Yeah.
express my disdain for that Motley Crue song. But yeah,
Yeah.
great closer to side one for sure.
And it's kind of like the same theme. What starts side two? Problem Child.
Yep.
Another a great, simple but effective riff. And Bon Scott wrote the song about Angus. And
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah, where did I'm trying to think. It's actually a video interview him saying that somewhere. Yeah, I can't remember where, but yeah, he said, yeah, Problem Child wrote that about Angus. Because he's a problem. He's dresses like a schoolboy and so forth. But another great, amazing fucking song.
Yeah, and you're right. The lyrics are like a continuation of the story that starts in on the last song on side one. Like it's the total continuation of the same theme. Yep. I never thought about that, but that's cool.
Yeah, it is. It is bad. Yeah, I never thought about it either. Till I'm looking at a track listing, going, "Oh, look, Bad Boy Boogie's followed by Problem Child."
Yeah,
that's pretty damn cool. Yeah, and we already discussed this on Dirty Deeds, and we discussed the next one, Overdose, but not to a full extent because Exodus covered it. But it is, to me, the dark horse on the album.
Absolutely.
With Go Down, you got to put them both. And probably, I don't think either one was played live, though I could be wrong. But I'm not sure. Yeah, you know what? I think Overdose was played live.
I think on a later tour, like they did Overdose maybe on the Ball Breaker tour or one of the later tours.
I know when I saw the Ball Breaker tour, they played one of my favorites, Down Payment Blues.
Yep. I saw that.
And it was great. I love that they played it, but I still felt like, I didn't really see it though. It wasn't Bon up there. It kind of was like bittersweet, though. It was cool to see him play it.
And the crowd, at least at the show I went to, the crowd was dead silent pretty much after they played that song. No one knew what it was.
I went crazy, man. But at the same time, after it was done, I was like, man, that's so awesome they played it. But God, I wish I could have seen Bon do that.
Totally.
But we'll get into that song later. But Overdose, it's probably like it's heavy and everything, like the rest of the sound, but it's the one that I think is the mellowest, if you want to call it mellow.
Yeah, I forgot the intro has clean guitar. Earlier I said there's no clean guitar in this album. Yeah. So yeah, there is a little clean guitar in the beginning. And I like how he hits a wrong note too, or he hits a wrong string.
Yeah, and they restarted.
Yeah, right. And that extra note. So I like how it has that live in the studio feel, like something Van Halen would do.
Yeah, exactly. And it's awesome. It's the longest track on the album, even longer than 3 seconds longer than Let There Be Rock.
Wow.
Yeah. But it doesn't feel like it's that long,
Totally.
I never smoked no cigarettes. I never drank much booze. Yeah, right.
I always wondered about that too. I'm like, who the hell are you talking to?
Who wrote that for you, Bon? I know that ain't you talking. But yeah, it's awesome. And then Hell Ain't a Bad Place to Be, another staple.
Yeah, that's my favorite song on the album.
Nice.
And it's one of my favorites to play with AC/DC. And we play that pretty much every time. And like, oh man, that song just the live version too, when he's like going, "Hey you!" When he's yelling, "Hey you!" It's fucking awesome. And it's just that song swells with energy. Once it starts picking up and all cylinders are firing, I just feel a power. Like when I'm playing that song, I feel the powers of hell. I don't know what it is, but it's a very powerful song. I love it. Fucking love it.
And I love the fact, I mean, AC/DC, to me, lyrically got really evil with Brian Johnson.
Uh-huh.
Where Bon, when he sang about hell, it was like, dude, this place is a party. He always had like a nice thing to say about hell, you know? It didn't sound evil. It sounded like, yeah, I'd like to go there, you know? And hell ain't a bad place to be. Look, what is he saying? Hell ain't a bad place to be.
Yep.
You know? Where Brian Johnson is like, I'm going to get you, Satan get you, and if God's on the left, I'm sticking to the right, and shit like that. You know, and evil walks and COD, care of the devil. Yep. You know, it's much more evil. Where Bon was just the core gesture. You know.
Yep.
And I love that about him. He didn't go the evil, like, you know, the what do you call predictable route when you're talking about hell.
Sure.
He's showing the nice side of hell, the positive sides of hell. You know? And yeah, dude, it's fucking awesome. I absolutely love this song. I don't know. I would think the next track will be my favorite off this album, which closes the album, A Whole Lot of Rosie.
Yeah.
I just think that song is just so beyond perfect. And I love the live version when everybody's saying, Angus. Angus, Angus. God, yeah, and you know, it's a song about, you know, Bon loves this big fat woman called Rosie, you know, and I just think it's a ripping song from the beginning to end. Even though the beginning doesn't, you know, drum wise, it's kind of just playing along to that riff, but then, you know, 45, 34, 36, you can say you're on, bam, full speed ahead. Amazing fucking track, and what a great, amazing way to end this album.
Absolutely, it's a song that was crafted for an end of an album for sure. You know, that song is kind of hard to play. The intro, you gotta be a tight band to make it sound correct. You know, like just the stop starts. You know,
yeah,
and just getting the song started off. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So, it's a good test when, like, you know, we have like a revolving door of bass players in AC/DC. So a good test is to check their musicianship is to see if they can start that song correctly. And a lot of people can't start that song correctly, man. Like they're looking at me for the cue. It's like, dude, don't fucking look at me, man. I'm having a hard time too. But yeah, it's a tricky intro, and if you don't play it perfectly tight, it ruins the song. You know, it's got to be. I mean, people know that song like the back of their hand, and if you're sloppy on those start stops, you know, it just ruins the song. So it's trickier than it sounds, and I love it too, man. It's a great closing track, and it's always great to see Rosie come out on stage when they play live. You know, the inflatable Rosie. Yeah. So yeah, great fun song.
I love it, and what can you say? I mean, and you just gave, you know, that was simple. A great example is like, it may sound simple, but it's not, you know.
No way. You gotta have your timing down, man, and just like the extra beat you have to count at the beginning. Some people can't get that. We had a girl playing with us for a while doing the Malcolm role, and she couldn't get that down. I mean, and she only played a few shows with us. She didn't last that long, and that's one of the reasons why she couldn't understand that there's an extra beat at the beginning. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Da 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 da. You know, so she would start on the downbeat, and she'd start one note ahead of everyone else, and it ruins it. That little misstep fucking ruins the whole symmetry of the song. You know.
Wow. I heard that she ended up marrying that guy that couldn't get TNT down on bass. And the marriage didn't last long. That didn't work either. Okay, I'm going to stop it right there. And you'll hear the rest of this next week because, boy, we go a long time on this. Will is awesome, man. He'll sit there for hours and hours with me talking about music because we both have that same passion for bands we love. And, you know, next week, you know, we what did we talk about? 3-4 albums. Next week we just talk about Power Age, the live album, and Highway to Hell. And it's even longer than this episode. Because as you see in this episode, we go off on other bands, other topics. It's no different next week. And it's just as awesome as what you heard now. Some parts are even funnier. Tune in next week for that. So now, let's go into the vault because I got some Death Angel for you. All right, this is something Will talked about. The day that Malcolm Young passed away, they did a song, Dog Eat Dog, in Budapest. They were on tour, and when they found out that Malcolm died, as you heard, they learned it that day, and they did it without rehearsal, and man, they kicked much ass. And I found a bootleg recording of it. Sounds great. And here it is, Death Angel live in Budapest the day Malcolm died.
We're doing what we love to do. And that's because we're not just musicians, we're music fans. And it pains us deeply when one of our main inspirations passes away. And unfortunately that happened today. And this show is dedicated to Malcolm Young from AC/DC. If you know this song, please join along. We haven't rehearsed it. We're gonna just fucking do it out of our love for fucking music. This is for you, Malcolm. Dog eat dog!
Businessman
That's a bootleg of Death Angel in Budapest doing Dog Eat Dog as a tribute to Malcolm Young on the day he passed away. That was incredible. All right, guys, so next week, come back, and we will have part 2 of the AC/DC discography, and it's just as awesome as this show. Maybe a little better, if you ask me. I know it's hard to believe, but check it out. Check it out next week, because the Viera Vault is coming back next week and many weeks after, because I got, wow, so many episodes still in the can to put up, and I'm recording tonight another episode. So thank you all for listening, especially you that are still listening now. All you that share out there, like Bill and James West, Eric. Oh, man, I got to start making a list of all you guys that share so I can thank you all on the show. But you know who you are this time. Anyway, I'll be back next week with part 2 of the AC/DC discography from the 70s with Will Carroll, Death Angel. I know I'll see you there. I better see you there. Thanks for watching. Be good and smack 'em a gab.